Breaking news, guys. PNP said if they get elected, they will find this tiger cub that is missing in St. Elizabeth. I know you guys believe it, considering the state that the PNP is at right now. They're hanging on a straw. Like drowning man hanging on a straw. So I know you guys, I'm just kidding. But in other news, the gleaner will come out, you know. Because they might try to propagate and make it seem as if the the security force overall is trying to turn Jamaica into a military state. But all the government is doing is putting forward a tangent, an immaculate, a feasible crime plan to ensure that the government have control over these bad boys who are going around taking innocent life, destroying our economy, destroying our society, our communities. That's all the government is doing. They did not change any constitutional right of our citizen as a democratic country. And we are proud of it, and we're going to keep that intact, regardless of what, you know, these newspapers, which they have a right to, you know, to be prejudiced and, you know, bad for them PNP party. We don't care about that. But in relation to that nonsense that this person write in relation to Jamaica becoming a military state, totally rubbish. And the great doctor himself have a say on this. Listen, Jamaica.
Now I see articles being written about Jamaica militarizing. What nonsense. The truth is we have been very unsophisticated in our security arrangements. So unsophisticated that criminals had greater capacity to create mayhem than the security forces had to bring them under control. And there are those who are vested in seeing our security forces underfunded, under-supported. No criminal organization must have more capabilities than our security forces. From many of the talking heads and people who are seeking relevance in the conversation would seem to suggest as if the government doesn't know what it is doing. This administration in 2018 put out to the country a plan. It was called Plan Secure Jamaica. It's a comprehensive plan focused on 10 areas of national development. And that plan included the strengthening of the JDF to ensure that we have domain control. We can control our borders and our maritime space and provide effective support, latent support to the JCF. The plan required us increasing the number of security personnel that we have. So the complement of the JDF was increased from about 4,000. There are a little bit over 8,000 now. Same thing for the JCF. We moved the JCF from somewhere in the region of about 9,000 to now they are almost at their full complement of 14,000. We changed their communications, their transportation, their training, their doctrine, their leadership. The JCF today is not the JCF of 10 years ago. Totally different organization. Now I see articles being written about Jamaica militarizing. What nonsense. The truth is we have been very unsophisticated in our security arrangements. So unsophisticated that criminals had greater capacity to create mayhem than the security forces had to bring them under control. And there are those who are vested in seeing our security forces underfunded, under-supported. No criminal organization must have more capabilities than our security forces. And so under Plan Secure Jamaica, we put the money to back that. We weren't waiting for our overseas partners to say, here is something, or we'll help you with that. No. When it comes to security, you must take your own money and secure yourself. And so we took our own resources, the dividends of our good economic management. So for those people who talk about economy can keep you secure. Because no other government was able to do what we did in terms of the expenditure that we have made in the security forces. When we took over, we didn't have one operating offshore patrol vessel. Today we have several. The average person wouldn't understand the benefit of having that. But if we didn't have that, the influx of persons who would come in from other areas where there are challenges, for example in Haiti, would be huge. But because we made that investment well in advance of the situation in Haiti, Jamaica has consistent presence in those waters. You have been hearing about the number of interdictions at sea with drugs. That is what the security blanket gives you. You only know you're insecure when you don't have it. But when you have it, you take it for granted. But we made that investment. We made that investment as well in the intelligence capabilities of the forces. We are not going with a net to catch criminals. Our security strategies are sharpened because we have better intelligence. And more than that, you would have seen many crimes being committed. And within days, the police have been able to identify the perpetrator and bring them to justice because their investigative capacities have been increased as a result of the investments that we have made. For those who are late to the game, we have been at this for a very long time, making the investments, making the strategic moves, putting the right people in place to be able to be at this point where we can see results.
Also, Jamaica. The PNP saying that the Jamaica Teaching Council bill is a act of betraying our teacher and controlling our teachers. And bear in mind that this bill Jamaica has been in the whole development process from 20 years from PNP days. You know, most of these things that reviewed in relation to passing of this bill, the PNP did agree upon it. But just because, as we said, they are desperate, joining man hanging on a straw, they are so desperate that they are willing to go against their words. On so many occasions they have, and now they're doing it, flip-flopping throughout, and not growing some balls and stand up on your feet to reflect the PNP. From back in the days, Michael Mann, the PNP, and PJ participating PNP. Now, the least little thing they back out, the least little thing them ready to politicize. Listen, Jamaica, Prime Minister can address them again.
Addressing students and staff at the Michael University on Wednesday, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness said for too long there's been a lack of professional regard for teachers. He told the stakeholders at the teacher training institution that his government's only intention in passing the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill is to professionalize teaching.
For far too long, we have not treated teaching with the professional regard it deserves. We have celebrated teachers in words, but not always supported them with the institutional structures that allow them to grow, thrive, and lead. That is why the government is pursuing the Jamaica Teaching Council legislation. And let me state this plainly, this is not an attempt to control teachers. It is a national effort to uplift, upgrade, and to use the term professionalize teaching in Jamaica.
Some of the most strident comments against the bill have come from JTA President Dr. Mark Smith. The JTA boss sees the bill as a betrayal of teachers. The Prime Minister is suggesting those comments were misguided.
I'm not going to get too much involved. We have a Minister of Education who is very competent, and I do quite like the President of the JTA. He seems to be a reasonable person in his pronouncements. I didn't like this betrayal issue because there was at no time any attempt to in any way deceive or harm teachers. That's absolutely not the case.
Dr. Holness says he takes no issue with the JTA advocating for teachers' interests, but he urged the union to show greater understanding of the broader implications.
It was always a thorny issue, without question, because the JTA is, after everything else, a union for teachers. It is a union, a trade union, essential for teachers. And I have no challenge with them advocating for what they see as the best option. But at the same time, there must be equal respect and understanding that the government has to advocate for all other stakeholders, many of whom do not have the institutional presence to advocate for themselves.
The Prime Minister is assuring teachers his administration is prepared to continue dialogue on the bill.
I've heard this argument that this is going to cause a lot of teachers to leave the jurisdiction. And I did some research and I found out that most, if not all, the jurisdictions that our teachers would end up in have some form and even stronger regulations for professional requirements for teachers. Now, I listen keenly to the conversation and the concerns, and in our democracy, the government must always listen. So we listen. I don't like to use the word compromise because it just sends a signal of, watering down. But I think we can continue the dialogue and seek deeper understanding and appreciation of each other's concerns.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
We are certainly in support of the bill, and we are glad that the elephantine gestation that it has taken to get to this point is almost at an end, and we support you in that regard. Thank you.